Women remove the hijab for vanity purposes. I don't know why this is a common thought. I think that's such a low statement to make. But then there are other outrageous statements like they are low in faith, they only care about how they look, they leveraged on a community to make money or to be popular. Hope you find your way back. Your way back to where? I hope they find guidance, you know, things like this. And I find it quite absurd. I mean, I'm not surprised at all, to be honest, but I am shocked that we are still having this conversation in the 21st century. We're still obsessing about how women dress, how they present themselves, what they wear, what they don't wear, whether the hijab that they're wearing is appropriate or not, which style is considered more Islamic and which one isn't. You completely miss the purpose of everything. I have written an article in the Huffington Post a few years ago called "Removing the Hijab Doesn't Make You a Bad Muslim." Writing comes natural to me. I am a lot more expressive when I write than when I speak. And I've been contemplating making this video because I thought maybe it's overdue, or maybe we have gone past the fact that this is not an issue anymore, or we as society collectively agreed that what a woman does with her body is her choice. But who am I kidding? What I would like to talk about is the fact that there's been a big hoo-ha about women removing the headscarf, the hijab, the veil, however you would like to call it. And in the past couple of years, there's been a growing trend of popular influencers and public figures removing the hijab. What annoys me is that some people start calling it a trend. Removing the hijab is not a trend. It's a personal choice.
Because I can no longer say that I most beautifully identify with my headscarf.
And that was kind of the end of my hijab journey because I just had taken it off.
I did decide to remove the hijab recently in the last few months.
Don't want to commit to wearing a headscarf 24/7.
I stopped wearing my headscarf.
I've read some of the backlashes that were happening online. Some people wrote articles, some people made reaction videos, a lot of unnecessary negative and some even nasty comments were left behind. These are all unsolicited opinions and advice. Under the pictures and videos of these influencers coming forward and expressing their personal journey and their personal decision to remove the hijab. To be honest, I'm not here to talk about popular influencers making a personal decision to remove the hijab. I think it's their personal choice. They have made statements of why they have removed the hijab, and we should just leave it at that. What concerns me is the negative obsession with the hijab and what the hijab means.
Why are you so obsessed?
I personally have removed the hijab a few years ago, but I am not necessarily a public figure, and I have not made a statement of why I have removed the hijab. I was absent from social media for 5 years, so I don't feel it's the right time for me to be talking about it. I mean, we can all agree that the hijab literally means barrier or partition. The use of it in different languages, it has been given a wider prominence that includes but is not limited to the covering of women's hair. Of course, there are many reasons why the hijab also symbolizes modesty, not just modesty in dressing, but modesty of how we present ourselves, which, by the way, is not just exclusive to women, it also includes men. Can we just talk about that? But the theme is not about what people think or decide the hijab should be. The theme is about this invisible weight placed on women. In most societies, there is no enforced persecution for removing the hijab, but they tend to impose emotional and psychological magnitude towards these choices. On one hand, there are some who want to liberate women from wearing the hijab, while others are inducing women to wearing the hijab. Can you see that both intentions are exactly the same despite being on two different sides of the spectrum?
I see.
I remember between 2009 and 12 when modest fashion was on the rise and there were a lot of girls expressing their style, their identity, just themselves as girls who chose to wear the hijab.
And I just happened to embody all of those identities.
And it was quite fascinating. And everyone was celebrating it. Not everyone. I know there was some skeptics and naysayers and negative Nancy's going around telling these women how they should wear the hijab, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, completely missing the point of why these women were out there to begin with. You've missed the point. We can all admit that the Muslim community is obsessed with the female body. It's not just the West, and some of you just don't want to admit it or acknowledge it. And it's quite problematic because what a woman chooses to do with her body and how she presents herself is completely entirely up to her. We have bigger issues that we need to tackle, but we are so obsessed of how Muslim women present themselves. We bicker about whether they should wear the hijab or not. We bicker about what type of hijab is appropriate and what isn't. What I find fascinating is that when a woman declares that she has started wearing the hijab, everyone's out there like celebrating. But when a woman comes out there and says, I've decided not to wear the hijab anymore, most of the reaction is negative. Can I just point out, I do not care about men's opinion on women's appearance or how women present themselves. I have no interest in it, and I'm not going to discuss of why some of these men are going on a witch hunt to basically be telling women how they should dress and how they shouldn't dress.
Give me a call when you're ready to talk about something besides men for a change.
What really upsets me is that women going out there taking the time of the day to criticize other women.
And what a pile of bollocks!
Some of you argue that the hijab should not be the focus of the woman's body. The hijab should allow us to see a woman beyond her appearance, that we should value them as individuals, as intellects, as creatives, just as humans. Now that some of these women have removed the hijab, your focus shifted. Your focus suddenly shifted into what they look like. You suddenly forgot what you were preaching about. And now the fact that their hair is showing, there's nothing else to them anymore. Really? Isn't that hypocritical? Isn't that ironic?
Could somebody please make it make sense?
There's no need to be reducing everything to someone's identity, to someone's personality, to someone's complex existence on a headscarf.
It's not that simple.
The fact that you think removing the hijabs comes so easily is just plain wrong. It takes a lot of thought, it takes a lot of months, some even years to make such a big decision. You have to remember that for most of us, the hijab has been part of our life for decades. It's been ingrained in those women's identity, and it's been somewhat also imposed into their identities. I say imposed because yes, at some stage these women have decided to wear the hijab. Whether it was induced or whether it was free will, that I don't know. But either way, there is a point in their lives that they have identified with this piece of cloth, and it was part of their identity.
It's not out of nowhere.
But we also have the right and should have the freedom to remove it whenever we don't identify with it. From a religious standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, from a personal standpoint, aesthetics, identity, it's completely personal. But it does not remove the multifaceted and the complexities of their identities just because they have removed it.
I don't want to hear another word about it. So shut up and get out.
I think because the hijab comes with so many symbolism, it's fair to say that removing it takes a lot of weight off your shoulders. It's completely understandable. It doesn't have much to do with vanity. It doesn't have much to do with someone's level of faith or level of iman. It doesn't have anything to do with someone having a resentment towards the hijab. There are so many reasons why someone chooses to remove the hijab, and it's completely personal. Some of the popular influencers have made videos and statements explaining why they have made the personal decision to remove the hijab, while others have been doing it privately and they didn't have to face the unsolicited opinions of strangers from online. It doesn't mean that they haven't faced emotional and psychological persecutions from friends and family. It just means that they didn't have to deal with strangers. It's autocratic behavior to tell women what they can and cannot wear. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that it's a personal choice, and I completely and fully support a woman's right to choose, whether it's the choice to wear the hijab or whether it's to remove the hijab.
I will not be judged by you or society.
So I created this channel to explore the headscarf, not just the headscarf as a hijab or as the veil, but the headscarf as an object itself, as a scarf itself, as a form of art, as a form of culture, as a form of fashion, and the complexities that come with it.